Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Hyper Arcade Turbo Bros proudly present to you our brand new wrestling talk show, Turbo Talks Wrestling. That's right, everybody. Turbo Talks Wrestling. This is going to be our brand new wrestling talk show. And I couldn't be more excited. One of my first loves from my early childhood is professional wrestling. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'll do something a little different. So for you, those of you guys who are usually here for my gameplay videos and my gameplay commentary, this isn't the video. I appreciate you stopping by all the same, and if you like wrestling, stick around. But I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right to it because we got a lot to talk about in a little bit of time. So, let's get right to it, shall we? I can't wait. Man, oh man, what a past 2 days it has been, coming off the heels of an amazing WrestleMania. And I say amazing because I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't suck. You see, Manias the past few years have been hot and cold. There have been some really great matches peppered in there, and there have been some not so great matches peppered in there. This Mania, for the most part, actually was pretty great, I've got to say. Quite a few things went pretty much as I predicted, some not so much, but the follow-up to WrestleMania was what really shined. We're going to start covering that right away with what I think about the new World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. In my opinion, this was the best way that the WWE could actually go. The booking for this was absolutely perfect. Everything worked out the way it should. Because truly there was no conceivable way that they could sell the fact that Seth Rollins could beat a guy like Brock Lesnar. To be honest, that was the corner that they kind of drew themselves into with the Brock Lesnar character. The Brock Lesnar character has been undefeatable by most of the stronger big guys on the roster. So how could you possibly sell a smaller guy like Seth Rollins capturing the title from Lesnar? The way you do that, have Lesnar get winded in the match with Reigns, have Rollins come out before Reigns even has a chance to win the title, cash in the Money in the Bank, and then, boom, it's a triple threat match. Rollins doesn't even have to pin Lesnar to win, pins Reigns, boom, new WWE champion. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Loved it. That was something I was surprised to see from the WWE booking people because, holy God, they have had the worst track record over the past few years. Let's talk about some other things, shall we? So, right away, I think some of the weaker matches at WrestleMania, and it really hurts me to say this, was actually Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. This match truly broke my heart because it made something a big reality to me, and that was the fact that Taker is done. Taker is absolutely done. He can't. He looked so winded and so tired and just so done. And I was watching this, and Bray Wyatt was carrying the entire match. Now, some people may argue that with me, but I saw this entirely for what it was. The proper course of action, I think, for this to have gone was for this to be Wyatt's big push. This was to help Undertaker pass the torch for a paranormal superstar other than him to take up the mantle that he's held for so many years. But this match just hurt. Just seeing Taker that tired, that winded throughout the entire match and just struggling to keep up. You know, I really never thought this day would come, but I really hope this is Taker's last match at WrestleMania. There's nothing left for him to prove. And for as much as I would have wanted a Sting versus Undertaker match at WrestleMania, this is not the way I wanted it at all. I would have preferred this, 10, 15 years ago, which is going to get into the next part of this discussion. Triple H versus Sting. So I want to say first that the intros for this were incredibly weird. first of all, you had Sting with a Japanese like drum band coming out. And I thought this was odd because Sting's character isn't really originated in any kind of Japanese origin. So that's what I found so odd. My roommate made the suggestion that Sting's face paint kind of looks a little like a kabuki mask, but that's about as deep as that similarity goes. So, I mean, it was a cool performance nonetheless, but I didn't quite see what it had to do with Sting. And then you had Triple H's Terminator entrance. Oh, that... I don't even know what to make of that. When I saw the Terminators and I saw the... it was weird. It just felt like forced product placement, which is another thing we're going to get into. But I'll wait. So, this entire thing goes into the exact same thing I said about Sting and Taker. This match would have been awesome 10 or 15 years ago. It was good, and Sting is definitely in a hell of a lot better shape than Undertaker is right now. But seeing the NWO come out and D-Generation X come out, it made me painfully aware that not all of them walked out the same as Triple H did. Triple H is still in excellent shape. But then you have guys like Scott Hall and you have guys like X-Pac that look like they got hit by a freight train driven by Father Time. This was hard to watch. I watched Kevin Nash almost tear another quad. And Hogan, well, he's practically immobile. Shawn Michaels, what the hell was going on with them boots, man? Jesus Christ, you weren't murking through a swamp. You were getting into a fucking wrestling ring, man. Come on. Billy Gunn didn't look too bad. And Road Dogg, well, Road Dogg looks like he should be working at an advanced auto parts store somewhere in Tennessee. All the same, like, everything that should have made this match cool would have been cool 15 years ago. But it's not cool now. Instead, it's like, oh, there's the NWO, cool. Oh, there's DX, cool. They're old as shit. So none of it had the same effect that it would have 10 or 15 years ago. That was my major problem. The most shocking part of it all was the fact that Sting lost, thus forever closing the book on WCW versus WWE. And if that's what Vince was going for, then bravo. He did it. He did it. I don't really think this was the best course of action to go, and it really kind of put a damper on Sting's return for me. It was great seeing him at WrestleMania, but again, this felt like a major missed opportunity here. But, as they say, the show must go on. So I don't want to waste too much time talking about WrestleMania. For the most part, the only disappointing matches of the evening for me were the aftermath of Sting versus Triple H and Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. The only other thing I can really touch on was the fact that the Ronda Rousey Rock versus Triple H and Stephanie segment ran on for way too long. Way too long. This was not the place for one of those opening Raw promos that are 20 minutes long. All for what? For Ronda to do the same over-the-shoulder takedown that every other celebrity does in the WWE when they come and make a guest appearance. The fact that she got Stephanie locked into some kind of hold for 10 seconds while she was still standing and looked petrified. I mean, granted, Ronda's an incredibly talented woman, but I suppose, with that regard, Ronda probably couldn't have sold giving Stephanie a beating without turning her to mush. Ronda's a scary woman, so I will kind of give WWE that they probably took the safest course of action on that. So yeah, honestly, the Ronda thing, that ran on way too long. Cool Dragon Ball Z shirt, though. Love that. I thought that was cool. But definitely not a satisfying finish to a 20-minute promo. Not the way I would do it. But let's talk about Raw. Oh, man. If this wasn't the best Raw in almost a year, then I don't know. This Raw had everything. You started off with an epic Paul Heyman promo rather than another Authority promo. fantastic. Paulie's gifted on the mic. We all know that. But the fact that we got to see Brock Lesnar on Raw, he was ready to gear up and fight, that was cool. That was definitely something cool. So, I think, honestly, like, the way they went about that, the entire Lesnar thing, was kind of predictable at the end. I mean, he obviously called out Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins showed up. Seth Rollins ran away. Brock got pissed. Destroyed the ring. F5'd Michael Cole out of his shoes. The motherfucker F5'd another motherfucker out of his shoes. So, man, that was just great seeing Brock just go nuts. This was the perfect way to write off his character for the next couple months until they bring him back. But man, let's talk about the NXT talent that showed up. Holy shit. They couldn't have debuted the NXT guys to a better crowd than in San Jose. If any of you guys from San Jose who were in that crowd are watching this video right now, I just want to take time to say you are right up there with some of the best crowds I have ever watched. Because people don't realize it, that a good crowd can really sell a match or a superstar that much more. So it's important that when you go to a WWE event, cheer your fucking head off. I don't care who it's for. Don't be dull. There's nothing worse than a dead crowd of unenthused people that are probably there just because their kids drug them there. And that's probably the only place where you won't hear, John Cena sucks. Yeah, everyone heard that. Everyone heard it in Levi Stadium, and everybody heard it last night on Raw. And I will tell you, that should speak volumes to Vince. That should speak volumes to him. If you cannot possibly wrap your head around the fact that your top guy participated in what could basically be described as just a USA versus Russia match in which the American hero is supposed to be cheered over the bad guy Russian. The fact that not even that could get him over with the crowd should speak volumes to you. That should speak everything you need to know. In front of 76,000 plus people, your top guy, your face of your entire organization, got booed in a match that he shouldn't have, that story-wise he shouldn't have been booed. He did. He did. What does that say to you? That even the mid-card is not enough. That Cena has become relevant and has been irrelevant for a long time. He is no longer relevant at all. So why push him? There's no reason anymore. But I can't waste too much time on that. So last night we saw the debut, well, half of a debut, we should say. We got to see the Lucha Dragons in action, and holy God, did they kill it. They looked amazing in the ring. Kalisto proved to that crowd that he is going to be an invaluable asset to the company for years to come. If you ever needed somebody to fill in and take over the mantle that Rey Mysterio left, then Kalisto is definitely your guy. But I wouldn't be quick to break up Kalisto and Sin Cara, honestly. They have got an incredible team dynamic, and I think they should have a few tag team championship runs before you even consider thinking about Kalisto running for US champion, Intercontinental champion, or hell, WWE champion if you ever see fit. The guys have an incredible team dynamic. They've got a great chemistry in the ring. They really know how to work the crowd. They had them eating out of the palm of their hand last night. And all I gotta say is I can't wait to see more. These guys are dynamite, man. Keep it going, WWE. And if you need it from me, you know, lucha, 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 lucha. That should tell you all you need to know right there. Boom. Now on to the next NXT debut of the night. And that was the debut of Adrian Neville on the main roster. And man, I've been looking forward to this. The man that gravity forgot, Adrian Neville, finally on the main roster, and he looked terrific. But I got to address the elephant in the room. Why take away the Adrian and Adrian Neville? Why? I don't get it. You did the same thing with Rusev, where he was Alexander Rusev, and then he just became Rusev. You did the same thing with Cesaro, where before he was Antonio Cesaro, and now he's just Cesaro. What's next? Are you going to just say, Kevin Owens is just Owens, or Finn Balor is just Balor, or Sami Zayn is just Zayn? Tyler Breeze is just Breeze, Hideo Itami is just Itami? I don't understand the point in this. Adrian Neville had a catch to it. It had a nice roll off the tongue. Calling him Neville is just going to open up for Harry Potter jokes. But regardless, he had an incredible in-ring debut. And in front of that crowd, it was perfect. It lets WWE see how real fans react to real wrestlers. And it lets them know that we want more. Do you want to know why? Because every real wrestling fan in that San Jose crowd that night told the WWE, we want more. We want more like Neville, more like Kalisto, just less John Cena, less Roman Reigns. We don't want them anymore. The fact, and that's another thing, by the way. So I feel like I've been kind of all over the place with this show tonight. We've bounced from WrestleMania to Raw to Raw to WrestleMania to WrestleMania to Raw. But we need to address another elephant in the room. You can't sell Roman Reigns. You can't. You're not going to sell him to us real wrestling fans. Now, I'm sure a couple people scoff when I say real wrestling fans. I'm not saying that one fan is more valuable than the other. However, there are some of us that have a deeper understanding of the pro wrestling sport, if you want to call it that, or the industry of pro wrestling. So when we say real wrestling fans, we're not saying we're a better fan than you. We just have a deeper understanding of how everything works than you. We've seen things outside of the WWE. That WWE is not the center of the professional wrestling universe. That there is more out there. And we know this. So that's why we don't buy Roman Reigns. Because he's clunky in the ring. He has no personality. He has less moves than Cena. He's proven that to be possible. And he got booed out of the building by 76,000 plus people. Your first indication, WWE, that this wasn't going to work should have been at the Royal Rumble when one of your most legendary personalities could not save him. When Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson cannot save Roman Reigns, no one can. Paul Heyman can't save Roman Reigns. The Rock couldn't save Roman Reigns. And I'll tell you this, Vince, you sure as hell can't save Roman Reigns. You will never sell him to us. It's not going to happen. Do you want to know why? It has nothing to do with we don't know what we want. You don't know what we want. But you know who does? Triple H does. And that should tell you everything you need to know. From the boos that you got from a loud and vocal crowd from both the Levi Stadium and the San Jose crowd. For Roman Reigns and John Cena, the two men that you have continuously tried to shove down our throats, and the pop that guys from NXT, the developmental division, the fact that those guys who had never been on Raw got a bigger pop than your main guys, That speaks volumes, Vince. That speaks volumes. But I won't waste no time on that. We'll talk about that another time, guys. I just wanted to give my thoughts on everything that happened after WrestleMania and on the Raw that followed. What a week it's been. Hopefully this is our sign that 2015 is going to make up for the awful year of 2014. 2014 was a cursed year that we need to just write off from the memory books. The history books, pardon me. From the history books. We need to wipe that away. 2015, I promise you guys, is going to be an awesome year. I hope it is anyway, and I hope I can live up to that. But the good news is, you're going to have Steve Turbo here talking about wrestling every single week on Turbo Talks Wrestling, or as I like to call it, TTW. Till then, guys, stay tuned next week. Have you some JR's barbecue sauce, and have a great week.